Hopefully with what we're doing today, we will get through it and you will not have to have homework tonight. You'll have enough time in class to work on it. You are going to need colors today for the notes. If you choose not to use colors on your homework, that is fine. But until you get super comfortable, I do recommend still using those colors. You need to grab your shirt off the back table and go change, please. I do recommend you using colors until you get comfortable where you can see the individual shapes. If you don't want to use colors, I still recommend that you use letters. So today, while we're going through this, we are going to be modeling both. Does that make sense? Using letters and using colors. Okay, so surface area is the total covering of the faces of a three-dimensional object. It is measured in square units. So what is an example where surface area, real life, real world, would come in handy? I'll give you a hint. It's right around the corner. We do this for, it goes under a tree. Christian?
Building?
No.
Present. Wrapping the present.
Wrapping presents. So that's a real world thing that you actually need to kind of understand surface area. So wrapping presents. All right. What would be another thing? Go ahead, Mason. What would be another thing that you would need to know surface area? Alex?
Machinery.
Nope. Huh? Nope. How many of you guys have ever painted your room? Painted a room in your house? Okay, you need to know the surface area of those walls in order to be able to know how much paint you need. So, painting walls. All right, just trying to apply that, like, surface area is something that is an everyday thing that you will need. All right, so moving on to our examples. Says use the understanding of surface area to answer the questions below. It says decompose the net into shapes and complete the table to determine the total surface area of the rectangular prisms. Label each face of the net with the area to visualize it. So again, we're using colors and we're using letters to help us label each one of these parts. If you need, you may get out the stuff, like the notes and stuff that we've been doing the last couple of days to help you. So your notebook pages are not glued shut. So if I were you, I would flip to this. I would flip to probably the main thing that you're going to need today is this page in the process of how you solve these problems. Okay, that's where I would be. That's up to you on what you guys have out, but you have to have some notes out. All right, so the first shape, let's look at it. Raise your hand and tell me, what type of shape is this? What type of shape is this based off of the stuff that we did yesterday? Like this page right here. This is where you should be. I don't want to listen. No. Samantha.
A rectangular prism.
This is a rectangular prism. So what do we know about all the sides of a rectangular prism?
They're all rectangles.
They're all rectangles. So next to shape A, or shape 1, I want you to write an A. Next to shape 2, I want you to write a B. And next to shape 3, I want you to write a C. I also want you to pick 3 colors that you are going to use for A, B, and C for the rest of the day. So every A that you color today is going to be the same color. Every B is going to be the same color. Every C is going to be the same color, and there's one shape with a D, so you do need that 4th color. All right, we are first going to label our A's. Why did I skip this box and not include it? So why did I skip this one and not include it in an A? Christian?
Because if they're together, it's right base.
Okay, so if they're not together, they're not bases, right? And we know bases are going to be the same in a rectangular prism. So like the opposites are always the same. All right, this one is going to be my B, and this one is going to be my C. Now, what is the formula for each shape? Raise your hand. What's the formula for each, my A, my B, and my C? Again, if you're not sure, look at your notes. What is the formula for every shape on here? Drake?
Length times width.
Okay, so for each of the first boxes, I'm gonna write A equals length times width. Because they're all rectangles and we are gonna use the same formula for all the rectangles. Okay, well, she needs to open her mouth and she needs to come ask for one. All right, the hardest thing about this shape today is what? That was different from the shapes that we looked at yesterday. So looking at this shape, what's gonna be really hard for us to do? Or a little bit more difficult than the previous shapes we've done? Kira? Right, finding the lengths of the sides. So we know that this side is 15. So what do we know about this side and this side and this side and this side? Every one of these is 15. So I'm gonna put a 15 here, I'm gonna put a 15 here, and I'm gonna put a 15 here. Because they're all the same length. Does everybody understand that? Are there any questions about that one? Okay, what do I know? If this is 8, what do I know about this side, and this side? They're going to be 8 also. So this is going to be 8, and this is going to be 8. And the last one, if this arrow is pointing to this being 3, what do I know about this side? It's going to be 3 also. So this is going to be 3. All right, so do I have enough information to find my shape A, my shape B, and my shape C? All right, so pick your color for A. I don't care what it is. I want you to box in the color for A over here, and then we're going to box in our A's over here. So what are the two numbers that I'm going to be multiplying? So I'm going to cover up this, so I'm not looking at as much. And technically I can cover up this, right? So if you cover up everything, what are the two numbers you see for A? Okay, so I'm going to do A equals 15 times 3. All right, and then raise your hand and tell me what is 15 times 3? Gracie?
45.
Not just 45.
45 meters.
Meters. 45 meters squared. So 45 goes in the orange and both of those oranges. I'm not writing the numbers in there because it's already cramped and I don't want it to get too confusing. All right, now pick a color for B. And then I want you to outline your B's. Now, I have a question. I didn't write a length up here or a number up here for either one of these. Can someone tell me what number goes above this blue box, this blue rectangle? Everly?
8.
8? And how do you know that?
Because the one on top of it is 8 and it's the same.
Right, and it applies that rule every other, right? So I know that it's not going to be 3 because if it's 3, they'd be connected and we don't want that. All right, so then I also know that 3 goes above that. All right, so what two numbers am I multiplying together for B? Silas B.
8.
Okay, raise your hand and tell me what is 8 times 15? What's 8, Christian? 120, 120.
Meter squared.
Thank you. All right, and then our last one is C. So pick a color for C that you're going to use the rest of the day. And then highlight your C's over here. All right, and what two numbers am I multiplying for C? And if you're not sure, cover everything up except for that top box, and what two numbers do you see? What two numbers do you see? Bless you. Sincere, what two numbers do you see up there? No. Up here? You don't see 8 and 15, son. There's only two numbers that you see up there. So I'm going to do 8 times 3. Raise your hand and tell me, what is 8 times 3? Zachary?
24 meters squared.
Okay. Now, this is where the information that we wrote yesterday comes in handy. So it says find the area of each side, rectangle, and add all the sides up. So right now we have 3 numbers. Do we have all the information for our shape though? If I have 3 numbers right here, do I have all the information for my shape? I don't? Why not?
Because there are multiple of each shape, and then you would have to times it. Like for A, you'd have to times 120 times 2, and then for A, you'd have to do. No, for B, you would have to.
So you're saying I actually have to do 45 times 2, 120 times 2, and 24 times 2. Okay, so you can do it that way. What's another way we can do it? Samantha.
45 plus 45 is 120 plus 120.
Right, so knowing that I have 2 oranges, 2 blues, and 2 greens, I know I'm going to do 45 plus 45, 125 plus 125, 24 plus 24, whatever. Okay? All together, though, you end up with what? This is the way I do. I like finding the total and then multiplying it by 2. So regardless of which way you did, what do you end up with? What is your final answer? Figure it out and stand up when you have that final answer. Stop. All right, BK, what'd you come up with?
I came up with 380.
No, check your math again. Ansley,
378.
378 meters squared. All right. You guys need to answer this question, the A. It says, what do you notice about the different faces of the rectangular prism? We talked a ton about this yesterday. We even talked about it this morning. So what do you notice about all of the faces of a rectangular prism? Guys, look at all of the faces. The faces are the shapes that make up the bigger shape. The fact that I have like blank stares and we have no idea is terrifying. Blake. Huh? That means nothing. Speak up and actually like put a sentence together.
All the faces on the rectangle.
So all the faces are rectangles, which means what then? If all of the faces are rectangles, look at the formula row that we just did. What do you notice about the formula row? Summer, what do you notice about the formula row that you just wrote and I just wrote and everybody just wrote in this room? they're not all equal. Look at the formula row where it says formula and look at each box. What do you notice? Did you say they're all length times width? Yes, they are all length times width. So take the 2 bits of information that we just said and write a sentence. Stand up when you're done. Reagan, what did you write?
I noticed that all the listings are length times width.
But that's not all the information. That's not all that we just talked about. So what else do we need to add to her sentence?
I put that all the faces are rectangles, so you do length times width for all the faces.
All the faces are rectangles. Make sure you have this if you don't. And use the formula length times width. All right, looking at number 2. Again, it says decompose the net into shapes and complete the table to determine the total surface area of the triangular prism. Label each face of the net with a area to visualize it. Now, this is where you need that 4th color. Everything else, though, is going to be the same colors as the A, B, and the C above. So we're going to label this A, this B, this C, and this D. So go ahead. I want you to box your colors over here with the same that you did for the first problem. Now, this is a triangular prism where our shapes, our 3 rectangles, are all different lengths. Okay, so this is one of the ones that has a, scalene? That's what it's called, right? When all the sides of a triangle are not the same? Scalene triangle. No, it's a scalene triangle. So I'm going to label the bottom rectangle A, the middle rectangle B, and the top rectangle C. D is going to be my triangles on the outside. So the formula for shape A is what? Raise your hand. What's the formula for shape A? I should be getting a lot more participation because this is just, it's the same thing. It's either rectangle or it's triangle. That's it. Zach?
So it's length times width.
Length times width. All right, so looking at rectangle A, I have maybe one number. So how do I figure out the rest of the information? Because I got to have that before I can get started. Alex?
Cover up the
No, I'm not covering up anything. I just covered up everything, and this is the only number that I see when I cover up everything. I see a 3. So I'm not covering up anything. I got to figure out where my other side is. Silas.
well, if you look up, you see centimeters is like your length, and then 4 centimeters in the rectangle above it is your width.
No. So this, we have 3. 3 is one of my measures. but I have to figure out the other measure. You have to do this. You have to be able to do this. This is the easy one to figure out.
At the top it says 7 centimeters, and at the bottom it's the same length, so it's 7 centimeters.
So even though these rectangles are not the same size,
The length is the same.
the length is the same. Is that what you were saying, Silas?
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely not what I heard though. I heard 3 and 4 and 7. So that's my fault for not understanding what you were saying. All right, now do I have the information I need to find the area of this shape? Yes or no? Okay. So I'm going to do A equals what is my length, what is my width. Guys, I need so much more participation today. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Drake? 7 times 3. When I multiply 7 times 3, raise your hand. What do I get? Gabe? No. No.
7 centimeters.
No.
7.
Christian?
21 centimeters squared.
Thank you. All right. So that is shape A. All right, shape B. What formula am I using to find shape B? So this one right here. So what formula, y'all, do we use to find this shape? BK? Length times width. Raise your hand and tell me, what are the two numbers I am multiplying by? Everly?
7 times 4.
7 times 4. Raise your hand and tell me, what is 7 times 4? Angel?
28 centimeters squared.
Yes. All right. Shape C. All right. What is that shape, Kira? So the formula is going to be length times width. All right. Raise your hand and tell me, what are the two numbers I'm plugging in? Blake? 7 times 5. And raise your hand and tell me, what is 7 times 5? Mason, what's 7 times 5? All right, 35 centimeters squared. So I have found my 3 rectangles. Not too hard. Now, the last shape, which is shape D, that I have to find, are my triangles. And the triangles, honestly, were the easiest shape on here because they already had their measurements. Raise your hand and tell me, what is the formula for the area of a triangle? What's the formula for the area of a triangle? Cannon. If you guys have your notes out, you should be able to spit this out right away. If you have your notes out, we wrote it about 47 times yesterday. Right.
Half times height times base.
Base times height. Or, what's the other one you can do? So you have half the base times the height, or Kira?
Base times height divided by 2.
Base times height divided by 2. Again, I'm going to use the base times the height divided by 2. I just like it. It's just easier. I don't know. What are the two numbers? So what is my base? What is my height for my triangle? What is my base? What is my height? Ansley.
3 and 4.
So I'm going to do 3 times 4, which gives me 12. And then I'm going to take 12 and I'm going to divide it by 2. So the area for this is 6 centimeters squared. What do I know, though, about my triangle? How many triangles do I have? Zach?
2.
And are they different or are they the same? So I'm actually going to take and do 6 times 2 gives me 12 centimeters squared.
So you didn't have to technically divide.
Technically, you did not have to divide it. So if you realize that, you don't have to do that step. If you're still like, well, why didn't I have to? Go ahead and divide it. All right, do we have all the numbers we need now to find the area of this triangular prism?
Yes.
Yes, raise your hand and tell me, what's our last step that we do when we're finding surface area? What was it, Summer? Did you say add all of them up? Yes, you're going to add all of them up. So again, 35, 28, 21, plus 12. Stand up when you have your answer. All right, Reagan, what did you get?
192 centimeters squared.
Nope, it's not right. Sincere?
96 centimeters squared.
Yes. You do not have to multiply anything by 2 or anything like that because, for one, these are all different colors, right? Which tells us what? Like, this is a big reason why I'm using colors. If this is a different color, and this is a different color, and this is a different color, what am I not doing with any of those? Kira? Multiply by 2 or by 3, right? Because do they equal each other? No, they are all different colors. And this is why, to me, like, making it very visual for you guys, making you use different colors is important. Okay? And then obviously the two triangles are the same. So again, you should end up with 96. You're not multiplying anything by 2 in this problem. Questions about the first two? All right, flip your paper over. So again, doing the same thing. Now, look at this shape before we get started and tell me what you notice. That's different from the last triangular prism that we just did, because this is a triangular prism and this one was a triangular prism. So what do you notice that are different between these two? Or what do you notice about this one? Say it that way. Angel, what do you notice about this one?
That is
So this is giving us our height of the triangle, right? So that's going to be really important because the last one, we didn't have that. The height was just one of the sides. Now, does that mean that I have two triangles up here, or does that mean that I still just have two triangles in general? Just two triangles in general. What else do you notice about this shape? Stop talking, Silas. What else do you notice about this shape? What else do you notice, Christian? Right, this little hint over there is saying that you're only going to have two shapes, but we have 5. So what is that telling us about the other shape that makes up our triangular prism?
There are 3 rectangles that are equal and then the 2 triangles that are equal.
Right, so these 3 rectangles are all the same. All right, and technically you see 8 on your slant right here, and then you see 8 right here. So that is telling you that this is an equilateral triangle. So that means these 2 are the same and those 3 are the same. So the same color that you used for A on the last ones, you need to use for A on this one. You need to label this shape A, and this shape B. All right, and then this time I want you to go ahead and I want you to color code them first before we get started. All right. So for our A shape, what is our formula? What is our formula for the A shape? Alex,
20 times 1.
why?
Because it's a rectangle.
Because it's a rectangle. All right. What are the two numbers that I'm plugging in for length times width? What are the two numbers? What do you think, Joshua? Huh? No. Look at, so cover everything up except for that rectangle right there. And what two numbers do you see? Right, so, and I'm going to do this way so that I can actually do my math right here in my box. So I'm going to do 11 2/10 times 8. All right, so the area for this one is 89 6/10 meters squared. Does that make sense to everybody? So far, so good? What is the shape of my B shape? That sounded weird. Gracie. Okay, and what's the formula?
1/2 times base times height.
Or,
Base times height divided by 2.
okay, either one of those. So what are the numbers that we're plugging in for my triangle? So cover everything up except for the triangle. What two numbers do you see? Two numbers do you see, Gabe? So I'm going to do 8 times 7. Raise your hand and tell me what that is. 56. And then I take 56 and I divide it by 2. Gabe, what does that give me?
I don't do no division anymore.
What? What's half of 56?
Yeah, that's right. Miss Kate, you think I still do division?
Yes, every day.
It's 28.
See, you over there running your mouth and you knew it the whole time. All right, so our answer for the triangle is 28 meters squared. Now, be careful because what do we now actually have to do with both of these numbers? Because we have two boxes over here that have formulas, but we have 5 shapes. So be careful with what you tell me next. So like for shape A, what do I need to do with 89 6/10? BK. All right, so I'm going to do 89 6/10 times 3. Raise your hand if you don't understand why we're multiplying by 3. Okay? Question for you, Angel. How many boxes are orange? So then how many? Right. So we have to, because technically, guys, this equals 89.6, this equals 89.6, and this equals 89.6, right? So if you want, instead of multiplying by 3, you can add them up. I'm okay with that too. Okay, but that's why we multiply by 3. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. When you multiply by 3, you end up with 268 8/10 meters squared. Did I do my math right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No.
Not 100% sure, but
We're gonna like rock out like 95%?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more like an 80% personally.
I used your calculator. So it's like 99%?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, can I cheat?
No.
So we get one more chance to cheat?
No. Alright, shh. So we multiplied by 3 for our 3 rectangles. Now why am I taking 28 and multiplying it by 2? Why am I multiplying it by 2, Drake?
2 triangles equals times 2.
Okay, so that's actually going to give me 56 centimeters, or 56 meters squared. Now, which one of those is my answer?
Neither. You have to add them together.
technically both, we have to add them.
Right, so I actually have to add these together. Be careful when you add these together because one has a decimal. So you need to make sure you line up your whole numbers and not your decimal. All right, and when you add them all up, you end up with 324 8/10. So that should be your answer. So even though this shape ultimately had less shapes, we actually had to do more work, I feel like, for this one. because we had a lot more steps we had to do.
Yeah, but it was.
Maybe.
And you had to cheat.
Yes, I'm gonna. I have to do this 4 times. 1 answer key and then 3 classes. Don't play with me. I'm gonna cheat.
You already did this in school.
You what?
You already went through this.
No.
My stepdad said he got strangled in
I'm sorry. I have a master's degree. I already did this. And I already did this. in school.
You have a master's? Yeah,
Yeah.
Miss Kitty, back in your day, you did something.
Sometimes. Yo, I heard you, bro. That was rude. I'm trying to have a civil conversation with Sam, and you over here saying back in my day like I'm 427 years old.
You should be doing long division in here. This is started in years. In years.
Right?
This
Rude.
is history.
All right, guys, we have one more. Let's get through this. Yes, did you have a question?
Yeah,
Technically, we have one more that we're going to do together.
wow. I see all this.
I'll wait. Y'all can just keep wasting your time and get homework tonight. That's cool with me.
I didn't get
Okay. Now, what shape is this? Be careful. Again, look at this page before you raise your hand to give me an answer. Okay? Be careful with this one. Joshua, what do you think? Yes, this is a rectangular pyramid. Joshua, how'd you know it was a pyramid and not a triangular prism?
Because, I mean, if you go to the next 3D shape color code document, it says, like, rectangular pyramid.
So you're talking about this one, right? This one. So he's looking at this page. So yes, we're using our notes. Yes, they help us. What is the biggest difference though between looking at this shape and this shape? What do you notice? What is the biggest difference between these 2 shapes? Kira?
It has one base instead of 2.
So it has 1 base instead of 2. So that's a big thing. And then what's the other thing that you notice in the shapes? Excuse me, Zach.
The triangles on the outside and not the inside.
Triangles are on the outside, not the inside. So this is primarily made up of triangles, and this one is primarily made up of what? Rectangles. All right. So we have 3 shapes, and we're going to do shape 1 is A, shape 2 is B, shape 3 is C. So go ahead and do your A. But don't do anything else. Just do your A. Just your A, guys. All right, what shape is A? Raise your hand. What shape is A? Molly? Okay. Molly, what's the formula to find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to find our area for A. So raise your hand and tell me what 2 numbers are we plugging in for our length and for our width. Angel? 10 times 6. So my area for the middle is 60 inches squared. Now, I have a question. Are my triangles equal on the outside? No. Shh. They're not equal because why? Raise your hand. Ansley.
You can see like the table that they give us. It says 3 shapes.
Okay.
And I kind of see like the bottom and the top do look bigger than the ones on the sides.
Right. So the table cheats. I'll wait for y'all to stop talking. The table helps us cheat a little bit and tells us, okay, well, they're not the same because we have 3 shapes. The other thing, this is a rectangle. What do we know about the sides of a rectangle? Zach?
The opposite sides are equal.
So these 2 are equal and these 2 are equal, which means my top and my bottom triangle are going to be equal and my right and my left are going to be equal. So this is where you do have to be a little bit more careful and understanding that this is a rectangle and knowing the characteristics of a rectangle. So go ahead then and do your do your B's, and then do your C's. All right, raise your hand and tell me, what is the formula for my shape B? What is the formula for my shape B? Gracie.
1 times base times height, or base times height divided by 2.
Okay. What's going to be my formula for shape C? Same thing? Okay, so let's just go ahead and get that written in. All right, so what numbers are we using for my B shape? So I'm going to cover everything up except for the B. And what two numbers do you see that represent my triangle? What two numbers? Sincere, what two numbers do you see, sweetie, that are connected to my triangle? 8 and 10. So I'm going to do 8 times 10, which is going to give me 80, and then I'm going to divide that by 2. So the area of my top triangle and the area of my bottom triangle are going to be 40 inches squared. All right, and then what two numbers am I using for my C shape? Kira? So I'm going to do 6 times 9. What's 6 times 9? Samantha? 54 divided by 2. 27 inches squared. So this is going to be 27 inches squared, and this one is going to be 27 inches squared.
But you don't have to divide it on either triangles.
Yes. You don't have to. So, how many of you guys are observing that we do an extra step when we divide our triangles? Okay. So, Samantha, you see why I'm still dividing by 2? Okay. All right, what do we need to do with shape 2? Because we have two 40s here, so what do we actually do with this shape? Multiply this by 2, which gives me 80 inches squared. And then for shape C, I have two 27s, so what do I have to do with 27 inches? Multiply by 2, which gives me 54 inches. Now, do I have my answer?
No.
No, I do not. So I gotta do 80 plus 60 plus 54. Okay, stand up when you have your answer. Or, if you want, you can do 60 plus 27 plus 27 plus 40 plus 40.
That's a lot.
Yes, I know. What'd you get, Christian? What'd you get, Christian? Do the work, son. Do it.
I know.
Cannon, what'd you get, babe?
194 inches squared.
194 inches squared. All right. I hope that this helps a little bit more with you guys. I hope that it makes a little bit more sense now. As a group, you guys are answering number 5. When you are finished, you may stand up.
No, it's not that hard. So the square, she's right on this. They're all equal. Okay, so square, she got triangle. I think it's almost she added one. Were you ever? Oh wait.
She already strangled me yesterday.
Basically, they got both of them. They got both of them. And correct her mistake. So basically, and also
But we should have enough time. No, because we're gonna go over it together. Just get something so you think about it. Guys, stand up when you're done.
she actually got it right. Well, she actually talked about won't say it.
So then, did she get it right?
She didn't show her.
No, she did not get it right. Based off of her work, she did not get it right.
So put exactly. Oh, she didn't.
Shut your mouth. Jesus, son.
And then correct her mistake. Okay, so we're not all done. We gotta wait for her to finish, right? 12 times 1. Wait, never mind, guys. She has to divide it.
Stand up when you have your answer written. Did you write your answer?
Yes.
Yeah. No, someone just walked out. All right, let's go ahead and go over this. Have a seat. So it says Janelle found the surface area of the square pyramid below. Describe Janelle's error and correct her mistake. Excuse me. So what did she do wrong? What did she do wrong? Only 2 people know? 3 people? 4 people? Why not? If you worked with her, you should have the same answer, right? So what is the big deal if you raise your hand? Kira? What'd she do wrong?
She did, for the square, she did base times height instead of length times width.
That's fine. It's the same thing. Okay? So that's not what she did wrong. What did she do wrong? Molly? Nope. What do you mean she added wrong? Because you're almost right. It's okay. So we're on the right track. So it has something to do with adding. Gracie, add to it.
She added it wrong because she was off by like.
No. All right, BK.
She didn't multiply 48 by 4.
So she has to multiply 48 by 4 because there are 4 triangles. Okay? When you multiply 48 by 4, you get 192. All right, so she only added the area of how many triangles?
1.
1 triangle. Okay, so then if we fix this, we need to do 192 plus 144, and what do you get? What do you get when you do 192 plus 144? Alex? Is your hand raised or no? Sorry. Gabe. 336 centimeters squared. Okay, this needs to get glued into your notebook. So on this page that we made, now please be careful with how you glue this in because you want to have access to all of the notes that we did today. So I would put just a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here, and I would glue it in probably this way. If you slide your notebook over, you need to title it Surface Area with Nets Homework. And you may move around the room and get started on your homework. You may stay in your seat. Doesn't matter, but you're working on your homework. Drake, when you get this done, you can go to the bathroom.
Do you know what time it is?
9:44. You can move around the room. Yeah. You guys are allowed to move around the room if you would like. No. Huh? Drake's out when he comes back. Guys, there's a long line. Do your work.
This question right here is this 2 go to the just this 2 go here. Okay.